Assalamu alaikum all. Hello and welcome back to JK's Corner. My name is Joke. Thank you very much for stopping by my channel today. On here, I talk about healthy eating, healthy living. I talk about marriages as well. I also talk about things that impact the Nigerian community who are living in the UK. I hope you find this video today enlightening, and I hope you find it worthy enough for you to share with at least one other person. It's a documentary I watched a few weeks ago, and the documentary was about, they called it The Push, Murder on the Cliff. This young lady, she was a solicitor. She was also an only child of her parents. She met this young man who she wants to get married to. He was an optical assistant. It shouldn't necessarily matter, but it does matter in our community. And what do I mean by our community? I mean our Muslim community, and I mean our Nigerian community. Already the dynamic, as soon as I heard that she was a solicitor and he was an optical assistant, I knew already that was going to be some issue. Pretty soon before, so normally what Asian Muslims generally do, which I do like it, is they tend to do their nikah, and I think depending on the family, a few weeks after, a few months after, it could even be a year after, then they do the walima, so which is like the wedding party. So the nikah, it's always a smaller circle of guests. And so I think with this couple, it was pretty clear quite early into the relationship that this man was violent, or he was controlling. So things like, one of the clips I heard was, "I am your husband. When I tell you to come home, you have to come home." A woman who has gone to train as a solicitor, I kind of know in my own head, I may be wrong, that she is not necessarily going to take to that kind of command. I'm not saying that women who are solicitors are not respectful in their marriages, but I just, in my own opinion, find that the dynamic already was one where the man felt. Some of these things I'll be saying will be my opinion. Some are things that happened, that played out in the documentary. But in my opinion, the fact that he is an optical assistant, he would feel the need to wield his power over her, to remind her of who is boss in the relationship. So that's how I think he came across. So in the documentary, it came out that, problems were arising. And of course, being an only child of her parents, that meant also that she was her parents' child. So very, anything, I want to go back to my mom and dad, I wanted that sort of thing, which would not necessarily sit well with her husband. So that was also causing problems. Eventually, this young woman died at the hands of this man. It was found in the documentary that when she was starting to, I think she complained to her mom that things weren't going as well and she wants to leave the marriage. But before they could do anything, her husband and his family quickly organized the walima. And now in their culture, it usually is done. The walima is usually done by the groom's family. So them, as the parents of the bride, would only get an invite to that. They were not involved in the planning. So it kind of was sprung on them and they had to go along with it. So, they did that. But pretty soon, and I'm talking about, all of this was still within, it was still under a year. So she was trying to, according to the documentary, making her exit plan. She was kind of like trying to make her husband think that she was still going ahead with things. But, her husband said, let's go for a mini moon. They went away to, to a different town. So they live in Leeds. They went to Edinburgh for the mini moon. I think it was a weekend away or something of that sort. And what happened was they went on a walk, but not just a walk. They went on a climb. They went hiking on a mountain. So she was pregnant at this point. They didn't tell us how far pregnant she was, but personally, I don't know. But in my head, I was thinking, if you are pregnant, you wouldn't necessarily want to go on a hike like that. But I don't know. That's my thoughts. The last CCTV sighting of this girl that we saw and her husband, before they went onto the mountain where they went for the hike, they looked like they were holding hands. But to me, it looked a little bit like, but that's to me. No, they didn't say that in the documentary. It looked like he had a really tight hold on her, like, no, I am taking you where I want to take you, and you better not make any noise. We are going where we're going. And, anyway, they got to the top of the mountain or wherever. So not long after, other people who like to go to that hill in Scotland, they quickly heard a shout that, help me, help me. This distressed man was shouting for help. My wife has fallen. Can you please call 999? So they called 999. And I'll come back to the young lady herself. But anyway, they got 999 out, and they got to the lady, and it turns out a lady hiker who went to meet apparently the husband said his trainers were sleeping, so he couldn't get to where his wife was to help her. But if your trainers were sleeping, why would you wear such trainers on that hike? But that's my opinion. This lady went over to try and help the lady who had fallen down, and she testified in court that she said, please keep him away from me. She asked the distressed lady, the woman, who do you mean? She said, my husband, he pushed me. Are you sure? Yes, I don't know, I think so. Anyway, but that the police who tried to help her when they got there as well, this lady repeated the same thing to them. My husband pushed me. It turns out that, during the course of the investigation, he had a phone in his pocket. But then he said that, when they spoke to him, he said he had forgotten he had a phone in his pocket. He said the first thing that happened in any emergency to a normal human being, you quickly reach for that phone and dial 999. Why didn't he do that? He knew what he was doing. And it's hard to believe that he was so distressed that he forgot to dial 999. But also, he said he lost his phone between Leeds and Edinburgh, so he didn't have his phone on him at all while they were on holiday. But in my own opinion, I think he deliberately lost that phone wherever he said he lost that phone. And then maybe somehow he found conversation between her and her parents where she was already making the plans to leave the marriage. And that was what he did. That was when he decided to end her life. Uh, Unfortunately, they were not able to save her life. They could not save her. She died, unfortunately, from her injuries because they were that bad. I've talked about that situation. You can find it online to read the article if you want to. I'll link them down below. You can watch it if you live in the UK. It's on All 4. You can catch up on there and watch it. But why am I making this video? One thing that the girl's uncle said made me make this video. Right. So during the documentary, they obviously spoke to different family members. So what the uncle said was, he sent her, a message, congratulations on your marriage. You are now married. Whatever happens in your marriage, try and resolve it between yourself and your husband. Don't run to mom and dad to fix everything for you. You are now a married woman. Keep your marriage. You can work on your marriage yourself. And but however, he did end it by saying, no matter what, your uncle is here whenever you need me. But he said that he blames himself, that maybe if he had not sent that message to her, she may have left that marriage sooner, and definitely not have ended up in a situation where she was killed by her husband. And this advice, in my opinion, of working on your marriage yourself, working on your marriage as a young couple, I find, generally, in my own opinion, it is always coming from the man, hardly from the woman. I attended a wedding a few months ago, and when I think I think is the girl's uncle, or I don't know, one of the uncles anyway at the wedding was like, whatever happens in your marriage, keep it. You don't invite a third party into your marriage. Keep your marriage issues within yourselves. Try to resolve any issues. Don't bring in anybody. And I didn't know that it was common in the in the Muslim Asian community as well, but it is very, very common in the Yoruba community. After all of that, at the wedding, we were dancing and all that. I got to dance with the bride, take pictures with her. I said to her, I know that your uncle said to you not to talk to anyone outside, not to speak to outsiders about your marriage issues. I am begging you, do not take that advice on board. Make sure, try and resolve any issues you have with your husband by all means. That's what it always should be like. However, if there are issues that you are finding that both of you are not able to come to a resolution on, find somebody in his family that you trust and he respects, and talk to that person to speak to him. Do not keep quiet. And that is exactly what I said to the girl. And she was, oh, thank you very much. She appreciated it. But I'll always say that wherever I go. Women, those advice are always given to women. Keep your marital problems private. Do not share it with anyone. We forget something important. We forget the fact that a young girl who has had a different kind of upbringing to this young man, they are coming together to make home for the first time ever. They will clash, and some of those clashes will be major, that they may need an external person to help them see things the way they should. It doesn't even have to be your family member that that you can confide in. One thing I want to say to you is that as women, young women, any young woman watching this video now, make sure that any man you want to get married to listens, takes your opinion on board, takes your feelings on board. They are caring. Those are important qualities to have way above love, because there will be a time in your married life that love will drop. There will be times where there will be drops, so where you have peaks and troughs of love in your marriage. So those times, that's where you need that you be a caring and understanding person, he be a caring and understanding person, and you're both tolerant of each other. If you know you do not have any of these qualities, work on yourself. Make sure you have those qualities. Make sure the qualities you want to see in a man is a quality. They are qualities that you possess yourself as well. So please, whatever you do, make sure you work on yourself. And I'm also begging young men out there, be kind. It may be easy for you to want to show superiority, but take a step back. If you were talking to another man, would you treat them in the way you're trying to treat that woman, just because you know that you are stronger than them, that you feel that you are more powerful than them? Treat them with kindness. And I also want to beg all those aunties, uncles, moms, and dads of young women and men who are going into marriage. I beg you, do not make your young daughters, your young sons feel like the doors to your homes are closed to them once they are married. Make them know, let them be aware that no matter what, your door is always open to them. A divorced woman or man is far, far desirable than a dead one. Divorce is halal, but it's the halal thing that is most hated to Allah. However, the fact that if divorce was to happen, it only happens because there is domestic violence involved. And that in that situation, Allah would not say you shouldn't divorce in that circumstances. For the sake of humanity and for the sake of the Ummah, let's try as much as we can, practice healthy marriages, support healthy marriages, encourage healthy marriages. Make sure that when you are going out to get married, look at the qualities of the man. In the case of this man, he is a dominant character, but he is an optical assistant. Very domineering, but an optical assistant. And then he got married to a woman who is a solicitor. That was, in my head, I might be wrong, that was always going to be a recipe for disaster. Luckily for the family of the woman, he was sentenced to life imprisonment. That is a form of solace a form of comfort to the family, but it's never going to bring their daughter back. That is never going to bring their daughter back. May Allah guide us, protect us, teach us to embrace healthy relationships, healthy marriages, and help us to love our children to the point that even if their marriages are not working, they should be allowed to come home immediately. As soon as violence is on the cards, they should be allowed to say that they are not staying in that marriage anymore. They should not feel shame. They should not hide away their problems and try to stay in that marriage. Especially in a marriage of an Islamic marriage. Islamic marriages does not encourage doing boyfriend and girlfriend. So you're not allowed to date each other like you would do in the Western setting. So in that case, if they get married and it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. Allah will provide a better person for them. Let them go their separate ways, especially when it's domestic violence. And let us teach our children to not be, let us raise our children not to be violent, not to be abusive. It may be that it's what they see in their own parents' marriages, or it may be what they watch on games, what they play with on games console, whatever be the case. But I know that within our marriages, within our unit, within our family unit, we can ensure that we raise children who would go out there and create healthy families of their own. I really hope you have taken lessons out of this video. And please don't forget to click on the like button and also share this video with somebody. And don't forget to subscribe if you are yet to. I'll see you in my next video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bye bye.